So we've all been playing Armillo. Both Aaron and Curt have beaten it. I'm about, it seems like 2/3 of the way through, something like that. And Aaron, you wrote the review for us. You gave it an 8 out of 10. So I guess kind of introduce Armillo and tell us what you liked about it.
Okay, so if you didn't read the review, it's a puzzle action platformer where you play as an armadillo and you roll around in these spheric worlds. And basically, it's just a fun game overall by with the puzzles mixed in, and you just kind of carousing through these worlds, going through these obstacles and taking out enemies and such. There's abilities that are really fun to use, I thought. And basically, it's just really a well put together game, I thought, with all the stuff they added in.
Yeah, because I mean, what I find kind of interesting about it is that every level is very linear. It seems like
For the most part,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's very linear when you first go through it, but then when you get different abilities, you can go back to earlier levels, and then they kind of branch off more, which I think is kind of like a good way to do that, because then you have that, like, all right, you just want to burn through the story, that's fine, but if you want more, you can go back and get all the blue critters. They're literally called critters, aren't they? There's no
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's the blue critters that you can collect, and then there's also the blue orbs that you collect to buy upgrades.
Yeah, it would be pretty shitty of Armillo to just be like, hey, here's this blue guy I saved. Can you give me an upgrade for him? How much is he worth on the black market? But it's really, I mean, it's kind of a weird game that I don't know if there's like a direct analog. It kind of brings back, at least to me, like a lot of those, like, I feel like it's disrespectful saying knockoff 3D platformers on the N64, but that is kind of what it feels. It's like,
Yeah, that's what
Armillo.
that's what I kind of gathered from it too. It kind of feels like just an experimental, like, N64, PlayStation 1 era kind of platformer game, which, like I said, isn't a knock against the game, because I absolutely love those kinds of games.
Yeah, it reminds me, I think that the closest I can think of to a game that I have played is actually the Munchables, which was a Wii game, I think published by Namco Bandai. And I think it was internally developed by them. It came out in, I think, 2008, 2009. But it was basically just this kind of like platformer, although that one had a little more of a Katamari like bent as you kind of ate things and got bigger. But just the way that felt, where you were like kind of this ball rolling around, or even the blob to an extent, how you were a blob, but that's more in how it controls, not necessarily how the gameplay is, because I think the gameplay is kind of more stylistically almost like a weird version of Mario Galaxy.
Yeah. I kind of got that vibe too, with blasting off to like different parts of the planet, and just like, kind of the spherical worlds, like it was mentioned earlier. I kind of got that vibe too, and I kind of saw some inspiration from like games like Marble Madness, or there's this early Xbox Live arcade game called I think it was called Marble Blast Ultra.
Yep. And there was actually, I think, the Cobra Rimpa games that were on Wii as well.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, it just feels the feel of the game is just absolutely what's the word I'm looking for? It's pleasurable. It's just feels easygoing.
It's whimsical.
Whimsical,
it's
exactly.
Cute.
Yeah, it just feels so free flowing. It's just like, I don't feel like I am wrestling the controls at all. Like, Armillo just does exactly what I want him to do when he's just rolling around and stuff. I don't feel like I'm just losing control of him, and that just feels really good. It's one of the best feeling games I've played in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the controls feel really smooth. I think my only complaint as far as maneuvering the armadillo around is that sometimes I feel like it's hard to judge depth. So like there were times where like I was on a moving platform and I'd be like, jumping to go somewhere else, and I thought I made the jump, but it just happened to be like, oh no, there was a spike there and you hit it, and from my angle I couldn't really tell that.
Yeah, that could be a little problematic to kind of.
It's a minor problem though.
Yeah, it's very minor, because like I had issues trying to judge depth myself, but at the same time it's when it came down to it, it never really became that much of an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like I'm having trouble, like, judging the death, but it's like, it always works out for me in the end. So it's just I'm taking a leap of faith, and it rewards me for that.
Yeah, I thought there was a couple dark spots too, or like I was just cruising around so fast and I didn't realize that there was like a pit, and then I would just fall in.
That's how they get you. I didn't feel like there were as many gotcha moments like that. I kind of expected it to happen. And maybe because I was expecting them to just be like, oh yeah, you're going to be cruising from this area and then you're going to fucking die. Because I expected that, maybe I avoided it, but it felt like that level design to an extent was kind of smartly done in a way that, yeah, we're going to let you just go really fast through this area without worrying about, instant death. And then here you're going to have to dodge some enemies and have this fireball chase you over here so that way it blows up these things so you can get to the next area.
And speaking of level design, what I really like is the post-level, mini-level, where you go and collect those orbs and your time is set on how many blue critters you've collected from the main levels.
And then you can also get an upgrade. I don't think we mentioned that you could get upgrades, but there's like a store and you unlock more upgrades as you get through the game. That then like they do stuff like give you an extra heart, give you an extra life, because you are limited to lives in this game. You'll have initially 2 per level.
Yeah,
and right now I have a boost up to get 3.
Yeah, and in some of those later levels, you'll definitely need way more lives.
Yeah.
This game is pretty tough, but it's like it's a very fair kind of tough. Like I never really thought like this game was unfair in the ways that you can die.
Well, there is one area that I think is I'm not even gonna say unfair. I think just bad. And that's the 2D bonus levels. I think they're referred to as secret levels.
Yeah. If we're talking about like the 3D levels, they're usually pretty fine. Yeah. In terms.
Yeah, they get challenging. Even where I'm at in the game right now, I'm in World 4, and I have died a couple times and had to restart levels. And like they're challenging, but it's a fair challenging. Like you get to that and you're like, well, I could have done that better, and then you execute on that and you complete it. But these 2D levels that you find, like little cubes in the main levels, there's one for each corresponding level. The 2D levels, honestly, kind of suck. Like, it just doesn't feel like a good 2D platformer. Like, it's funny because going into it, when I saw those 2D levels, I'm like, oh, that looks awesome. Like, the music is great. That looks like the 2D platforming levels are going to be the best part about this game. And as I played them, I have played probably a half dozen of them, and none of them have really felt that fun.
I would say the best part of those 2D levels is how it seems that they each have their own unique characteristic about each of them. I don't know if you played the one with those fuzzies all around, and if you hit one, like distorts the screen.
Yeah, they do have the touch fuzzy get dizzy level, which I thought was incredible.
Yeah, I really thought that was.
I'll give credit where credit's due. They're creative, but I feel like the jumping in those is a little. I guess I want to say floaty, and then the time limit is probably the dumbest limitation I've seen in a game in a long time.
Yeah,
they can be pretty tough.
Yeah, because I like exploring my 2D platformer levels, and basically you need to know what you're doing, or else you're going to run out of time in those.
Well, there is the upgrades that lets you extend the time limit on those 2D levels too that you can buy in the store.
But wasn't it only extending your time after playing through them once? That's what I saw in the upgrade. I haven't gotten all the upgrades, but that was
the
one upgrade that I've seen
I thought
is
that was like the only.
You get 30 seconds if you've already gone through the level, which is just like, well, I already beat it. I guess I could farm the blue orbs, but.
Well, yeah, you'd have to if you want to buy all those items in the shop too, which I haven't done yet.
Yeah, so with the 2D levels, I'm kind of half and half on them. I mean, some of them are pretty fun, but like you said, those time limits were a bit problematic because, like, I don't know, I'm not against time limits if it's like a kind of a fair time limit if you're just going through that level for the first time, because like I don't know or maybe if they had like a time attack mode after you beat that level. But just having such a strict time limit when you're just still trying to explore the level and figure out what you need to do and where you need to go, I didn't really dig that, especially in some of the later 2D levels where there was a kind of a gimmick to the stage, or like a special kind of mechanic, and some of them are just hard to kind of figure out. Like there's one where you have to kind of run along these ramps, and when you run on the ramp, the whole level tilts, and that's the only way you can make the level tilt, by going up those ramps. But it's like it makes it's really hard to figure out what you need, like what ramp you need to go up in order to get up to the platform, because there's like a lot of different platforms where you can't really reach unless you go back in the level and find the ramp that you were supposed to roll onto, and then go back to that one place, and that wastes a lot of time. So it's just like that's unenjoyable to say the least.
Yeah, I saw that while you're playing those levels, there is the map on the gamepad, but the problem I found is that it's fixed and you can't zoom in. So like for the bigger levels, it was harder to find where you were on the gamepad and see where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll have to side with you on that. I'm about half and half on those. Like I do enjoy the uniqueness of some of the mechanics, but the way they feel could be improved.
Yeah. But the music's awesome, though, so I'll give it that.
Yeah, the music in those levels, almost more than make up for the silly time limit. And then you do have stuff like, and it's kind of funny because they do have time limits in other parts of the game. Like you go over, well, I guess what is it? There's the parallel universe, and then like the bonus universe. I don't know. There's all these different dimensions and universes and stuff, and get a little lost and all that. But you like go to this dark world. Periodically, and those are timed, and those you do get upgrades where you can like extend how much time you have in there, but those work as kind of like mini challenges that whenever there is a time where it's like a tight fit, you'll probably be able to pick up a timer item. So that way you can,
I feel like the timers in those kind of like alternate world parts of the stages are a bit more fair than the 2D levels.
Yeah. And then I mean the thing at the end of the level where depending on how many of the blue guys you collect, you get to go and collect a bunch of orbs. They're kind of like bonus stages. Like they reminded me of the Sonic the Hedgehog bonus stages in like Sonic 3 where you're going around with those orbs, except for not really nightmare fuel in that same way. For anyone who's gone through those things and gotten near the end and you took the wrong turn and you hit the wrong colored orb and you failed.
Oh man, those were the bane of my existence back when I was a kid. I still can't believe I'm
now like I'm having like more time flashbacks to the bonus stages of Sonic 1 now, where it's like you just need one more Chaos Emerald. Too bad you hit the exit. But I mean it's like Armillo just has all these different influences on it, and it really is the kind of thing where I can't pinpoint one exact game that I'm like, yep, that's what it's like. And I think that's kind of the coolest thing about it.
Yeah. It's like when I first played the game at PAX, the developers were describing it as a cross between Mario Galaxy, Marble Madness, Super Monkey Ball, and Sonic the Hedgehog. And when I played that demo last year, I could see every single one of those influences. And it just it just felt like I said earlier, it just feels exactly like all of those games, and it's surprisingly extremely satisfying, more so than recent Sonic games have been.
Yeah, it's probably the best Sonic game I've played in about 20 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like I said in my review, I just thought it worked really well as a game. By pulling the different genres together, and with the unlockables and stuff, just putting everything together, it just works really well, and it has its own unique style, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think all three of us would totally recommend Armillo.
Oh, absolutely.
It is available on the Wii U eShop for $5.99 as an introductory price. I think it's kind of a mea culpa because it got delayed a little bit. I'm not actually sure how long it's going to be $5.99. I don't know if it's.
I think it's for about 3 weeks.
Okay, for 3 weeks. So basically, the majority of the month of July, you can get Armillo for just $5.99, which that's approximately $1 a world. So that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, not a bad deal at all.
And then normally it's just going to be $7.99, which is still a fantastic deal. And I think this is another game that it is a Wii U timed exclusive, so you'll probably see it on other platforms as well. But for now, it's a cool Wii U game that you can play. There are games on Wii U, guys. It's amazing.
What?
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I just want to say that too. I'm just really glad to see another great shop installment. You know, seeing these indie games come like they promised is just nice to see.
Yeah, I mean,
I wish it happened 3 months ago, but I can't really complain because the stuff that's coming out now is kind of aces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was actually getting kind of worried. I mean, you wrote that editorial not too long ago about, you know, where all the eShop games are that were promised to come out.
But I tracked down a lot of the developers and was just like, hey, where's your game?
But yeah, thankfully they're all still on track for coming out, and this seems to be a good step towards the Wii U actually getting a really good library.
I have approximately $5.99 for Armillo, and you should too.
I think everyone can afford that.
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna buy a Happy Meal or
not with that terrifying new face on it? No. Why would you want to buy something with like a terrifying face like that when you can have a very cute face like Armillo?
Yeah, I mean, he's an armadillo. You could hug Armillo in theory. I guess you could hug your Wii U while you play the game.
Yeah,
maybe.